let's do this. This entire episode follows Daryl's point of view, and that might be the best compliment that I can give this entire episode. Just because I don't like when they go back and forth, unless if it's really, really good and you get the storylines to intersect. Otherwise, it's just all over the place. At least with this, you could follow it step by step all the way through the process. And that was refreshing. We deal with Daryl trying to take out a lot of the Reapers by himself. Him and Dog. He's doing a good job of kind of maneuvering around them. They're highly skilled fighters. Somehow, for a little bit, Daryl's able to get away. But he's followed by this female Reaper. We see her kind of lingering while she sees Dog by himself, just out in the middle of this field. Daryl eventually comes and he finds Dog when he hears his, cries. Dog is sitting with this Reaper. Pretty much to no one's shock, it was Leia, or Leah, whatever.
Whatever!
Immediately, that pissed me off. Just because, I'm sorry, I didn't like that episode. And the showmakers talked about the fact that they had planned this the entire time, that she was always going to be a Reaper. But what about the Daryl-Connie dynamic? Now, are you trying to make some awkward love triangle when eventually all three of them come together? Are we just supposed to disregard Connie, who was way better for Daryl, for this woman that we don't even know? I thought Daryl and Connie's relationship was sweet. I have no idea how to feel about Daryl and Leia's relationship. Is it healthy? Is it toxic? Are they too similar? Are they vastly different? It's really hard to tell, because it feels like they're just trying to make a more attractive, better age match version of Carol for Daryl. I mean, at first, if you look at that shot right as she's pulling the mask off and you just see the hair for a millisecond, I thought it could be Carol. I don't know why. I thought it crossed my mind. But of course they would never do that. That might be interesting. So they surround Daryl. They throw a bag over his head, tie his hands and feet, and they drag him back to their compound or wherever the hell they're staying. It kind of looks like, once again, a train station, a factory, something like that. Generic Walking Dead location. Leia's softly interrogating him, kind of being the good cop, saying, if you do this, I can help you. If you don't do that, I can't help you. And Daryl's not caving. He's lying through his teeth, letting her know that he's like, I don't know these people. And he sticks to that, even through him getting waterboarded. He even tells him to kill him. Which, he's my brother right there. I'd do the same. So they throw him in a cell. The one thing that I really liked that was a really nice little attention to detail is anytime somebody was talking or leaving a room, Daryl would do these little finger touches. And I think what he was doing was counting how many seconds it takes for somebody to casually walk to the door, so that if an opportunity presented itself, he could just make a bolt for it, which I thought was pretty in character, and I thought that was good, because that's the kind of shit that we need to see. We need to see how these people have adapted, and I like that. That was probably the best touch out of the whole episode. Leia keeps kind of putting the screws to Daryl, trying to get him to cave anything. She keeps saying that the one that they answer to isn't going to be as nice, and that she can't help Daryl if he doesn't give her any information that's useful to him. And Daryl's conflicted. Does he tell this woman that he clearly still cares about what she needs to know so that he can be with her, or at least just to make sure that she's not hurt? Or does he stay true to his friends, who he doesn't even know if they're alive or dead? He's not sure how to play this. After a little bit of chit-chat back and forth, she leaves. Daryl sees one of his guys in a cage right across the way and is trying to pretend like they don't know each other. He's really worried. You can kind of tell on his face that that guy's going to say his name, and he almost does. He almost blows their cover. For all we know, they heard it, and they're just playing the long con. They're just hoping that he keeps lying, and the more and more that he lies, the further deep he'll owe him. So she comes back, sits down. I mean, I don't know how she's able to just sit down with a prisoner that they don't even trust her with and have this discussion. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but she basically reveals that her and all of these men are mercenaries. They used to be ex-soldiers that became soldiers for hire because that's the only way that they could pay their bills. And that story would have been really interesting 7 years ago. This deep into it, everybody's a mercenary. Everybody in this world has killed someone for food, for people to follow them. They've done terrible things. And so I don't think being a soldier makes you special. Not at all. I mean, the governor, back when he was around, he had that one guy who kind of reminded me a lot of Shane. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but he did. And that guy who was running the tank, who called me an asshole, that guy was a soldier. And look what happened to him. He got an arrow in the chest. Daryl told me later. He went down same as the rest of them. Didn't matter. Not in this world. Doesn't matter. Daryl, I guess, lowers his guard. He gives her a little bit of information. Still pretty generic stuff. Kind of going with the story that he had. He said he didn't know him for that long. And all he said was that Carol was the leader. Negan's a guy who doesn't stop talking. And Father Gabriel's there. But he didn't give any names. And he said that they have a lot of numbers. And apparently there's only about 14 or 15 of these mercenaries. So they're a very localized group of people. So I'm not really sure why they'd be picking fights with anyone. Because you don't really have the numbers to lose. Finally, we're introduced to the Pope. Now, all I could think about was A, how this actor, when he was introduced, looks just like the actor who played John Locke on Lost. And that's probably the first time I've even brought up Lost ever in the last decade. But he does. But then I found out who actually plays that actor. And it's a guy named Richie Coster. And what I know him most from is The Dark Knight.
I want to hear proposition.
And I also remember him from this one movie that's really dumb, but I still love it, is The Tuxedo with Jackie Chan. Here's the thing. Immediately, I'm not exactly sure where this guy's from. I thought in The Tuxedo that he was British. Very well could be. I haven't looked up where he's from, but I'll put it on the screen. With his voice, all I kept hearing was how he kept fluctuating between Southern and like Australian. It was really weird. It was really weird. It's like he was having a hard time doing it, unless if he was saying something that was really over the top, then he got that right. But that's just because you could exaggerate the Southern accent, but the subtleties of the Southern accent, he was all over the place. What do you want with me?
We are the chosen.
I ain't religious.
We are the chosen ones.
Can I go? And here's the deal, is he was a good actor. But the stuff that they're giving him to say is just boring. It's ridiculous. I don't care.
God is here.
You know what this whole religious theme feels like is in the game Fallout. I forget which one, but there's this like community of people who worship an atom bomb. And I think the town is called Atom. There's these people who just pray to this atom bomb all day, and they just stand by it. And when you would go over and talk to him, that's how this guy sounded.
He is coming with the clouds, and every eye shall be blind with his glory. Every ear shall be stricken deaf to hear the thunder of his voice. Let the men, women, and children of the earth come forth to gather and behold the power of Atom. Let those who dwell here in his favored land attend now to the words of the prophet of Atom.
He just sounded like an NPC in Fallout. praise be, oh, mighty Adam. Like, it was just, it was nuts. And I hate it. I don't like it at all. I mean, I'd rather you go full cheese, and the only reason you call him Pope is because he carves a cross into everybody's forehead or something like that. Go full, that fucking group of people from Game of Thrones. I can't remember. The sparrows. They're like the people. They got the 7-pointed star carved into their head, and they did it to Sir Lancel and all of that. Yeah. They put Daryl and Leia into this little cabin, the one that we saw him dragged into earlier when he was getting waterboarded. Now they have lights on in there. Daryl's sort of tied up, but not really. Leia undoes his ties. They lock her in. She goes over, she bangs on the door, and all of a sudden you see that there's some kind of gasoline seeping in. They shut the lights off, and they light the place on fire. Daryl and Leia, they struggle to get out, but eventually they do get out. Daryl makes sure that she gets out first. Then Leia goes and stands over with all of these mercenaries. All of them are just standing there, staring at Daryl as this cabin burns behind him like a bunch of lunatics. Or like I said, it feels like something right out of Fallout. Feels crazy. I don't know how I feel about this. We see John Locke or Pope or whatever fuck his name is, and he's just staring at him. And he's got this crazy look in his eye that, I'm not going to lie, the first time I saw it, it made me laugh. Every time I saw this guy, he just kind of made me laugh. He was like a caricature of a person. He didn't feel real. It felt like, I don't know, a figment of my imagination. I don't know. He says, baptism by fire. Welcome him. Welcome to the Brotherhood. That kind of thing. Shortly after that, we see him talking with Daryl and basically just tells him this long-winded story about, like I said, how they were mercenaries and soldiers for hire, and how he saw God in all of the blood and guts and gore and the terrors and horrors of war. He said that was God. The whole reason this comes up because Daryl says he doesn't believe in God anymore, and obviously this guy does. So they invite him out. Everybody's gathered around a fire and is eating food. The Pope starts pointing at this guy who earlier in the episode brought one of their men back who had died in the fight with the Alexandrians and the Reapers. Basically, he gives him like a massage and just kind of goes like, I noticed that your wounds are on your back, which means that you ran like a coward. And I guess implying that if you have wounds on your back at all for any reason, that means you ran away. It doesn't mean you turned away and then got hit on the back and then ran. It just means that you gave up. But then this guy brought his brother 10 miles on his back. And basically, you can see it from a mile away. They got the fire raging. You can see the fire in his glasses, which I'll say this, that's probably the best shot of that Pope guy this entire episode, is he does look genuinely intimidating when you see the fire reflecting in those glasses. And the whole time I'm just going, this guy's going to throw him on the fire. He's going to do it. I know he's going to do it. And guess what happened? He did. And then he said some stupid bullshit. Daryl's clearly freaked out. Leia seems to be used to it. He's giving that look to Daryl like, don't try anything. Not with this guy. I feel like this episode, it really struggled to keep my interest. I don't like it when they introduce characters and then they make them so unrealistic that, how are you supposed to feel about them? I mean, if you only got 15 guys and now you're killing one of your own, I mean, we've seen it before. Negan did the same thing. The governor did the same thing. They all have killed their own guys. Most of the time, if you got small numbers, you can't afford to kill somebody, even if you mistrust them. I killed Shane only because I had to. I didn't want to. If I didn't absolutely have to, he'd still be here because we really could have used him. And even Negan, although he killed people himself, he said that people are a resource. He could have killed Eugene, but he didn't. He made use out of him. Also, there was one shot, and the filmmaking part of me just couldn't ignore it. When Daryl's talking to the Pope and asking him, what do you want with me? His shirt was doing this terrible thing that they call digital interlace. And it's because he's wearing a plaid shirt, and they don't really like you when you're filming things. In case you didn't know this, they don't like it when you have stripes on your shirt because it messes with the camera. And it was doing this terrible wave effect on it, where his shirt was just full of this digital static. And it looked really, really bad. I was kind of shocked. I guess they just didn't bother to fix it, couldn't fix it. That was another thing I noticed, is that this episode was really grainy, but not like in the good way. And I think a big part of that is just because of the fact that they're clearly moving to digital this last season, probably just to save money. Hopefully they're saving that money for some good effects or something with the Commonwealth. You can tell it looks cheaper. Some of these shots look like I could have filmed them. Here's a shot of Daryl walking around, followed by a shot that I got with my camera that I'm filming right here of me. See, I'm telling you, that looks cheap. The most expensive thing on screen in this entire episode was Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus probably cost 3 times what they spent on the rest of the episode. And it shows. It does. So I don't really know how I feel about the whole Leia thing. Kind of hope they just resolve this shit really quick, because I don't think the Reapers are interesting. Not yet. And if they're not interesting yet, we're already 4 episodes in, I just don't see it. I think the Commonwealth is a lot more interesting route to explore, just because they're living different than how we live, how our characters live. They still have money and currency and food and numbers and how many people, I don't know, but it seems like they even have government. And that's more interesting, because that's something we haven't seen. The Reapers are just another dime a dozen bad guy, villain of the week. That's the last thing you need in this final season, unless if you're really just gonna pull out all the stops. Overall, I'd give this episode, I'll give it a C-. Actually, no. I'd give this episode a solid C. I really do think this is the most we've heard from Daryl in seasons. He talked a lot, comparatively. The acting was good, but the writing was subpar, and a lot of these scenes didn't need to be in there. They were there to try to build tension with people who have the memories of a goldfish, but not for somebody like me who notices repeat storylines, motifs that keep coming up, laziness. Yeah, so it was okay, but it didn't blow me away. Hopefully next week will be better. Until next time, I'm Rick Grimes, signing off.